eLiMenCe.
All right. Hold on. But hit the pause on the music right quick. Hold on. So,
Tell me why I try to go through the shit.
okay. This is, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
I'm recording this thing too.
Yeah. I got
It's probably gonna die.
I got 1 hour and 48 minutes of video.
Are you recording me?
footage.
Is it? It's on me right now.
Yeah, it's on you right now. It's
Man, it's
on
probably shining off my forehead.
Yo, you
got
whatever.
this
Hey,
greasy-ass
cause your
forehead.
thoughts are shining, fam.
Just got bright
All right,
ideas.
false idols.
Yeah, I think you should be in the shot too, though.
No,
Oh.
I'm the interviewer.
Oh.
It's about you.
We're not gonna do like a
me.
people's party where you're gonna be like Talib Kweli.
No,
over
we
there?
don't have multiple cameras. We don't have light. We don't have a cute fucking side co-host. None of that. So, false idols.
What's up?
You just released an album. What is it called?
It's called False Friends, Idol Friends.
What's the meaning behind that title?
So actually, you kind of came up with the
Who is you? Who?
elements. Brian came up with the name of the album. I guess we were kind of bouncing around ideas. I wanted to do an album where every song. It was almost kind of. I guess it's kind of funny to think about it. Like, I guess it was kind. Is it recording?
No.
Did it die? Oh, card full.
It's alright. I mean,
That's
the
dope.
audio in here isn't too bad.
It's not too bad. Yeah.
It's not too bad. It could just be for our own archive. A historical reference
Yeah.
for the kid. Go ahead.
So I guess the inspiration for it kind of came from Andre Osborne, honestly. His album Duo was my favorite album of his
I didn't know that part.
ever. I guess I didn't really realize that until I just thought about it.
Uh-huh.
But I liked what he did with that album Duo because every song had a really different vibe. Every song had a different singer or rapper on it, mostly different rappers and stuff.
Diverse, like.
So it was very diverse. So every song was very different, even though it had kind of the consistency.
Duo's a great album.
It's my favorite still to this day of Andre Osborne's. But I like that, every song sounded really different, still had the consistency of Andre Osborne. So I guess that was kind of the founding inspiration for why I did False Friends, Idol Friends. Just getting different people on different songs, because my style is so varied anyway. Like, I can't pick one style to produce. I have a lot of really talented friends, and
Okay.
I mean, even though like Brian shows up on a few songs, and then Calico shows up on a few songs, there's a few people that show up on more than one song, but mostly every song has different people. Even if it's like Brian on a song, he's with someone else, or Callie's with someone else, so it still kind of changes it up a little bit.
Okay. So is there like a deeper meaning behind the phrase false friends, idol friends? I know false idols, that's your name, and when you split it in half, it's 2 words. And these are false idols friends, but is there like a deeper meaning behind false friends and idol friends?
I thought a lot about it. I mean, all these people that are on the album are like my true friends that support me and have supported me and, perform with me. I support them. I feel like we have mutual respect and everything. I guess it was more kind of like satire, like, who are your friends? Like, you have all these false friends and shit.
Right.
And more like under the lens of like social media, our interaction with each other over social media doesn't exactly, those aren't exactly your friends if that's the only way you interact with people with social media as opposed to, person contact. So I guess there's kind of like that element of it, like, who are your friends? Like, what is a friend? Is it just someone you interact with over social media, or is it someone you actually get together with? And on the album, there's a mixture of both. There's some people that, like Deshaun, I haven't seen. I mean, he's come over and hung out a few times, but when recording the album, he just sent me his verses.
Right.
So that happens. I kind of, so I don't know. It's not really, I guess that's the deeper meaning. Like, I guess, questioning who are your friends.
And that seems to be thematic through your identity with music, and music in general is questioning, because false idols is essentially like questioning what we as society idolize, but now you kind of broke it down into more of a social level, like false friends, idol friends. Like, not only question your idols or why these idols are being portrayed to us, your friends. And you put your friends to the test to essentially see whether they're false or idol.
Yeah.
And was anyone who participated false or idol?
No. I mean, because they were present on the album. They created artwork with me. Even if they weren't physically there with me, they were present with me, and that's kind of a different way of being present.
Deep.
But, Yeah, I mean, yeah, and also seeing what idols other people worship can kind of change your friendship with them as well, and you can kind of see the idols they worship over, this social media universe that we've created, so people are more inclined to speak or say certain things they might not say to your face or, in the presence of others when they're okay doing it, publicly to millions, or billions of people, if they go viral or whatever.
I take it as a spectator in your life, and also a good friend, a best friend, and also an art collaborator, as like, all right, who my homies? Where they at?
Yeah. Yeah, that was
and
part
are
of it
you gonna
too.
deliver?
Yeah, that was part of it too.
And I took it as challenge accepted, motherfucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, challenge accepted, motherfucker.
Yeah, so I hit up like all my favorite people, like musically, like all the people I admire that I think are just the best. I mean, not even just in this state, but just in general with what they do.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Brian eLiMenCe, fucking Stony Birds.
We got Stony Birds, we got Two Fly, we got Calico throughout all of it. Ferret, Jacob Stevens, fucking Gordon from
Lewis from fucking Roma Ransom. I got the dude from Roma Ransom on my album.
I wanted to get into it. So, like, you have rappers, you have vocalists on here, but then you also have other musicians, right? Yeah. So how was it you as a producer who has learned an instrument, plays the guitar, has learned, programming percussions and sampling and chopping. How was it for you to take the back seat a little bit and let your friends do their thing?
It was nice. I mean, as far as guitar goes, I've been playing guitar for so long, and I guess I just haven't been spending as much time as I should on it just because I learned production and stuff, so I don't practice the guitar as much, so I've kind of grown stagnant playing that, so I've kind of got bored of hearing the riffs and the shit that I play on my guitar. Mm-hmm. Whereas when I hear someone like Ferret rip the guitar, I mean, I can't play guitar like he does. He has his own style.
Because when Ferret attacks, what happens?
Your ear pussies bleed.
Your ear pussy bleeds.
Your ear pussy bleeds.
Right.
Yeah, both
and
of
that's
them
how
do.
you set the genesis of the album is when Ferret attacks.
Yeah, it's so gritty. Like that the opening song, I already knew, like when we first tracked it, there's like 5 layers of Ferret guitar on that song. I don't know how they all blended together without being too, muddy and terrible sounding, but they all work together somehow. But I already knew when we recorded that I wanted that to be the opening track. It was just like, you want to like grab people's attention right off the bat, and like his guitar riffs are just, it's like fucking wailing, just screaming at you.
Yeah, it was like left field.
Yeah, it's almost like, of all the songs on the album, I mean, all the songs are so different anyway, so it's hard to say like which one doesn't fit the album, because that's kind of why I did it. Like, none of those songs you would think would be on an album with each other. They're all so different. But that's a lot of my music. I mean, I guess some of my other albums have been a little more consistent sounding all throughout. Like End Simulation was fairly consistent sounding throughout.
Right, we're expecting a certain type of sound because we kind of know what False Idols does, and then we play this album, and when Ferret attacks, and it was sort of nostalgic.
I think it's called When Ferrets Attack. I think it's plural.
When Ferrets attack.
Ferrets?
Yes, When Ferrets attack, yeah.
Yeah, because he's bringing a storm of ferrets at your face.
A storm of ferrets at your face.
Just a fucking wave.
It sounded a little nostalgic to me. I can't pinpoint like the sound, but I was like, oh, I know this.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is pretty cool to start off the album with. And then you start to go left and right, and following that song is Ride for the Time, featuring Chibong, and I don't know why it says featuring eLiMenCe when he's not rapping on there.
You're not, but you got that beautiful
oh, the cat's out the bag.
And the hook as well.
The cat's out the bag. Yes, I did a little
and I probably should have said Cali too.
Yes. Oh yeah, it says it. Yes, I'm sorry, Cali. It says it eLiMenCe and Calico.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Chibong. Why Chibong?
I love Bullheaded. I mean, of the whole group, Chibong's like my favorite rapper of Bullheaded. He's one of my favorite rappers that I've heard.
He's great. Locally. He's a great writer.
Like, I like his bassy voice. I like he kind of does like that third eye, like, you know, metaphysical type flow and shit, and that's
as he
kind
is
of
in real life. He's
yeah,
very
exactly,
introspective and spiritual.
and that's kind of my aesthetic as False Idols, and I thought that'd be a great match. And I've tried to get him and Zet on beats before, on the previous album, just didn't work out, but so I hit up Chi-Bong.
And he kind of used your name in the rhyme.
Yeah, there's a couple people that did that.
Right.
That was really cool.
That was kind of thematic. I
You
did that, but you cut
it. No, it's in there.
No.
Yeah, it is.
True for false, they want to idolize me. You cut that.
Which song was that on?
The
That
one
was the
that's
Andy
cut.
one. That was the Andy
yeah.
Shit. I didn't realize that.
It is what it is.
Damn.
But I ain't mad at it.
That was my favorite part because I loved all
because
those. I love those verses.
On the cutting room floor, when you're sitting here and you're forming the album, the way the album sounds, it makes sense. That means, therefore, that song. You know,
I mean, it could have just as easily been in there. And my friends were telling me not to get 13 songs on the album. And I'm like, well, then I have to push it to 14. Then I'm like, I don't want to do 14.
Why not 13?
Just unlucky number. I'm not superstitious, but I don't know.
No, fuck that. If I were you, I would have did it.
I'm just making excuses, but that should not have been cut.
I think
I should have worked on it. Should have done something different with it.
I think Chi-Bong really opened up because when he's working with Bullhead, I mean, he has some solo projects himself. But when he's working with Bullheaded, he's like playing his role as a part of a group. So I think his lyrical contribution to this song was something special. I think we got to know Chi-Bong more on this song, but it's on a False Idols album.
I feel that way with like a lot of artists when they come over to my house and they rap on my stuff or sing on my stuff. You kind of see them differently. Like they write different rhymes. I mean, Calico does that all the time.
Yeah.
He's like a whole different person when he comes over and raps over here. I don't know what it is. It's just the vibe, the energy.
I think it's a good setup too, as far as because clearly there's gonna be some rappers in here and some vocalists. So when it's track 2, so you place the song. Okay, now here's an introduction to where vocalists start. You know, you set the bar really, really high with Chi-Bong because he's an amazing writer, an amazing lyricist.
And then followed it up with Emily Strange singing.
Yeah, it sets the standard for the rest of the album. Like, this is very heady lyrical shit. When people are doing vocals, it's very heady and lyrical.
I guess I went from like the most intense song to the most chill song that I think of it. Because Right for the Time might be the most chill.
It is pretty chill.
Don't you think it's like the most chill? I mean, most of my music is pretty chill.
Yeah.
But that song could be, of all the other ones, the most chill.
Okay. Following that is Thought Habits featuring Emily Strange and eLiMenCe. But before we get into two prolific, great, profound writers, Emily Strange and eLiMenCe, explain to me the process behind producing that song.
Oh, that one. So that one could be my favorite beat just because of how, like, what went into making it.
Go into it.
So it started off, it was called the Gamelan beat. So my friend Putu, he's from Indonesia. I've known him since middle school. We were best friends, and we've been like really close friends for forever. Our first band we were in was called Mediocre at Best. Putu was the drummer. I played guitar. Mike played bass. Jimmy, the guy who does my tattoos and shit, was the singer. And then Dan the Man, who's in a folk band, who knows like Curtis. Yeah, Briffo. So and Dan the Man was the other guitarist.
Yeah.
So I was in a band with those guys. It was pretty fucking cool times. But yeah, so anyways, Putu and I grew up together, and we both went to college. He ended up getting his master's degree in ethnomusicology, and is a professor at multiple universities at like UCCS, and he was a professor at San Diego and Illinois Urbana and fucking Denver Metropolitan State. Like
he's a classically trained musician.
Yeah, but also in gamelan too, which is
specific to his culture.
Yeah, so gamelan's a music that's made in Indonesia. They use different time signatures. They tune their instruments differently than how Western instruments are tuned, so it sounds dissonant and chaotic to us, just because we're not used to those tunings. Anyway,
that's gamelan and the beat.
Gamelan. So I took a class that Putu taught, Professor Putu taught at UCCS. I was just auditing the class. He asked me to come and be a part of it, and I was honored. But learn to play some gamelan, learn some like a tune. I was like, the whole class was learning a tune. Anyways, brought my audio recorder and just recorded him showing us how to play something. and I ended up sampling that, and that's the kind of gong.
How did you sample it?
Just this little audio recorder right here. I just bring this with me and turned it on and recorded it and just sat it down somewhere in the auditorium.
And how did you incorporate that into your process?
So I knew going in that I wanted to flip it into a beat, you know, some of those patterns. So I just began chopping up the gongsa into different patterns, and then found a cool pattern. And then once I find like a cool pattern that I like, and then I set the tempo. I just do my tap tempo, and I get that in there. Then I just play it. You know, I individualize the notes on the different pads and shit, and then played it.
Yeah.
And then just came up with the beat after that. And
I'm not like, there's a few great songs on this album, but me being like your close friend for many years, and we both watching each other question music and then progress and then have more questions with music and then progress from there. That's one of my favorites because I knew how deep you went in with the production of it. Like, you went out scouting for a sound.
yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just go look for a record or whatever. Like, that was your way of digging in the crates.
Yeah, so
you went out into your real world and was like, I'm going to go find, I know there's going to be sound here. So I'm just going to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So that's one of my favorites because I knew that you were totally geeking out. And when I heard it, I was like, what the fuck is this?
It shouldn't work. It shouldn't have
And
worked.
I told you, I was like, bro, I'm rapping on this. No matter what happens, I'm rapping on this.
The best compliment I got for that beat was when Putu heard it. I wanted to make sure I wasn't like appropriating culture, like, you know, taking this, and him and I talk, like, he gives speeches about that, like, you know, white people appropriating culture. And so I felt weird about wearing the natural, you know, the garb you have to wear when you're playing gamelan. It's like, I forget the names of all the things. It's like a not like a dress thing, but you know, like a shawl, and you have like a little belt you wrap around it, and you wear like a hat thingy. So I felt like, you know, being a white dude, I just felt weird doing that. But so Putu and I had that talk, but he really liked the beat a lot. He's like, no, you're not appropriate. He's like, I would let you know. And he's like, you actually did really well. Like, he's like, that shouldn't have worked. Like, the way Emily sang on it and the bass you used and everything should not have worked with the gamelan. And he's like, somehow it did. And like, for like someone with a master's degree who knows everything about music, he's like, I don't know how you made it work. He's like, you somehow made it work. Because like, the way the tuning is, like I said, on the gong set is not natural, you know, Western tune. So like the bass and stuff was, you know, naturally tuned bass and stuff, and just somehow I worked. And then Emily like sounded like fucking FKA Twigs on that bitch. Like, her and I talked a lot about FKA. She's a fan, so she melds well with my music because I do really weird shit, and she can find a pocket in there.
On top of that, Emily Strange can write.
Oh man,
Very
and her
well.
spoken word too.
Yeah.
So heavy, like the way it ends, like,
Pen
what's your
game
thought
is
habits?
me. Pen
yeah,
game is me.
Yeah, she's one of the best writers, like, without a doubt.
Yeah, so Emily Strange is on there, obviously, and that's a total, like, so you've got sampled music from a friend who performed it, who's inspired by his like Indonesian culture, right?
That's their life, yeah.
Yeah, he like brought that to you, and then you've got Emily Strange, spoken word, singing things, and then you've got like this rapper.
And then you're biting hard too. You just like,
I kind of went in.
You fucking went in. You're so aggressive on that shit. It was nice. I liked it.
Yeah, and so
because Emily's so nice and her falsetto and shit, and the tremolo in her voice.
We've got 3 different worlds on this one beat.
Yeah,
4, including yours.
And they all work together somehow.
Right. So like when the end result, like, was this like premeditated, like I'm gonna do these ideas, or is it a part of the false friends false idol thing collaboration where like you were just banging on beats and people were around?
There's very little foresight I have when I start making a song. I just kind of experiment. I just knew I had some cool gamelan sounds, and I'm just gonna plug that bitch in and chop it, and if I find something cool. If not, then I guess I'm not gonna use it. At least now. Maybe I'll go back to it. I have like a sample library of sounds that may or may not be usable in a song. It just depends on how you fuck with them. You can manipulate them a lot. But that gong side didn't really do any effects to. That's like the natural sound of it in the auditorium. So the reverb's really nice on it and shit.
Whoa, we got sound. We're gonna pause that. All right, so the song after that is track 4 called The Discotheque.
Discotheque.
To Discotheque, I'm sorry.
It's such an arbitrary name. I didn't know what to call it.
Featuring Armando Harrison. Who is Armando Harrison?
So it's kind of funny because I've known him for as long as I've known Putu and Mike and them. Like, while we had our band, Armando had a different band with adjacent friends. So we both had bands together. I mean, different bands, but we would play the same shows. We would play like bars. We were in high school playing dive bars on B Street. Like, you know about B Street. Like,
yeah, B Street.
Being 18 years old playing dive bars on B Street. That was awesome. But yeah, like that's how I knew Armando. So I grew up with him too. And we were in a band together. We started a band, James Dean Martin, before COVID hit. That was doing really dope, really well. I mean, we were kind of taking off a little bit, man. We had really good songs. But yeah, Ferret was in the band too. So I mean, I have a few of those band, and Jacob was in that band. So I have 3 of the 5. Well, I'm the 4th, so there's like 4 of the 5 band members from James Dean Martin are on the album.
Isn't that amazing how a band that you kind of joined out of like the whim of everyone saying, hey, this is an open space to perform. Had that never happened, would these songs on False Friend, Idol Friends even...
They wouldn't exist.
Right.
Yeah, just because I had the jam session here every Sunday. It was church. And I would just invite Matt. Everyone was invited over. So
I came here and rap sometimes.
Yeah, like you remember when I was doing that? Like every Sunday there'd be like 8 people in here, and we'd just be jamming for like 5 hours.
I swear I hate that horse so much.
Yeah,
I came up with a hook and stuff.
That was fucking funny.
Right. So I mean, so what did Armando do in 2 Discotheque?
So Armando, he played the guitar. It was kind of like the. So he played a really dope guitar riff. I think we started with the guitar riff. He played the guitar first, and then I did like a dancey beat to it, and then I played some wild synth from the chord monologue,
right? Doing
some crazy bends. It was kind of like the synth was kind of inspired by Kavinsky. He's like one of my favorite electro producers. Like his synth is just like super wild, like just like very 80s sounding and rad. And then Armando and I kind of co-wrote the bass line. I kind of came up with like the original bass ditty on the MPC, and then Armando added some, or maybe it was the other way around. He came up with first, and then we just kind of like added some extra.
I can't help it when I listen to your music. I kind of like correlate it to youth and being up playing a video game, trying to conquer the video game, right? And Ferret's intro song is like the perfect intro to like a video game at the start screen.
Yeah.
And like you see the lights going on, and you're like, oh, I gotta press start to play. And I feel like this part of the album with Armando is like the first boss.
I can see that.
You know what I'm saying? Like you did all these levels and like eLiMenCe is rapping.
Or you're like riding to the boss.
To get a little bit. You're about to be there, and then 2 Discotheque is like the first boss.
I almost feel like on the way to the first boss because it's 2 Discotheque.
Yeah, 2. Oh, okay.
Because I feel like it's a ride to it.
Right,
like you're
you
in the
feel
car
it.
cruising.
Like you feel it, or like a load screen or some shit
Maybe,
like that.
yeah.
Then like you're about to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know. I enjoy the instrumental parts of the album just as much as I enjoy the parts of the album where there's lyrics on.
And I tried to have them spread out too, so it wasn't. I mean, most people like lyrics on songs more than they do instrumentals. That's not exactly true for me or you per se, but most people do. So I wanted most of the tracks. At first, it was going to be every track was going to be rapped or sung on, but then I decided I'll have a few instrumentals just because it was just too weird I couldn't visualize someone rapping on it. You know?
Yeah.
Someone could probably.
I think it's perfect. I think it's a nice break because, like I said, the rhymes in this album, like every rapper on here is very great at writing rhymes,
and everything's very dense too. So I guess it's kind of like unpacks it a little bit. You get the instrumentals,
it's like
let that sit with you for a minute.
You're about to enter,
and
the
then
boss
you're about to
stage.
get fucked in the ears even more by some crazy.
You're about to enter the boss stage.
Yeah,
and we all know that Stony Burks is the boss of hip hop here. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's the very next
Stony Burks
song.
is like Bowser, yo.
Stony Burks is like, you know, King Koopa.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And also 2 Fly. And 2 Fly is kind of like
he's been kind of quiet lately.
But it's like he's like float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yeah,
like, you know,
he's got grit.
And I'm out, and when he's in though, like watch out, and then he dips out, and then boom, he hits you again. And that's,
I like his grit. He's got like that raspy kind of like. He's just got some swagger to his voice.
I dig 2 Fly.
And the way he pops off at the beginning, the juxtaposition of 2 Fly leading into Stony Birds is so nice because Two Fly is like really gritty and hard, and then Stony Burst is just flowing, like water. So it's like you got like this rough, raw little break, and then you got Stones coming in and just like swaying.
Right. And let's talk about the production though, because there's like some music.
That one's fun too.
It's sampled, but like, how did you acquire that sample?
So Brian, that's the only song in the entire album where Brian actually made the percussion. Like I did the percussion on every other song, except
but
for
I did the drums.
You did the drums, you did the kick and the snare, and the hi-hat. But like it's got your swagger on it, so it's like you did the percussion on that one.
But there's like a sound in there what sound is that?
There's a few sounds. So the whistle, the song starts off with the whistle, and that's my dude Sam Wise. I call him Sam Wise. I have Arkansas. He's the salt of the earth, bread and butter, like most cordial, hospitable Southern man.
Another one of Falseyedols' friends.
Yeah, one of my best friends. Yeah, he just kicks it
here.
And he plays a mean harmonica. He can sing all right, and he whistles really well. So he did that whistle, and one of his homies, who I believe is also from Arkansas, was visiting here, brought his guitar over and just played some guitar riffs, and I chopped him up just really well somehow. It just worked out so perfectly with the whistle, and then I played the bass guitar on that one.
I remember I looped you playing.
You looped my bass.
I was like, hold on.
You found the spot right there.
Like,
I didn't even know you were doing it. I'm just playing, and you're just like, yep, did it already. I'm like, oh, that's what I do to people too all the time. Like when I'm behind it, people are like, I didn't know you were recording me. I'm like, yeah, it's better when you don't know.
Right. That's a really cool song. Stones goes in, Two Fly goes in,
and also like the opening, like there's an interview I did with Adam Kokesh, who was he's a libertarian. He's all about anarchy, and he was running for president. Okay. So I got to interview him a few years ago. So I've sampled parts of that interview in a few different songs of mine. On End Simulation, I did on my EP Travels that I did.
You did it on the Travels.
So I sampled that same conversation, just different parts of it, and then you can kind of piece them together a little bit if you really listen. There's some subliminal messages, basically just talking about dissolving federal entities like the IRS and the.
Goes more into the play.
He goes into
of your existence, though, your creative existence, what you built Falseyedols to be. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. So I'm gonna sprinkle in that shit. Like, hey, we don't really need to, do what we've been doing. The game was set up way before we were born, and it's not a good game. It's not a winning game for us, and so it's nice to kind of sprinkle in some.
So since it's not a good game, why not just hang out with your friends and make some music?
Exactly, that's what we do. I'm just like, that's the way we get it out.
And in between some songs, there are little skits, and we can talk about those. But I kind of want to run through the track list first. Yeah. But then we could talk about the little skits that you have. So then after that, is a song called Around Us with Calico, man. And let me tell you,
that one, I can't believe that one even came to fruition. That we were just drunk one night. You were there.
Oh, I got it on video.
And Callie, I just let him play with my MPC. And it was like some preloaded sample, like the hip hop thing sample or whatever. He just started pressing it, and it sounded really cool. Me and Brian were like, yo. So we just looped that shit.
I was like, yo, loop it.
We just looped that shit, and then I added some percussion to it, and then fucking Calico had a full goddamn song for it.
It was literally 3 minutes.
Yeah.
We and Vince were like, yeah, that's a hot beat.
Like,
we're smoking weed or something.
Yep.
And then Calico just goes, now what I gotta do to make you believe it's straight from the heart. I can't trust nothing, I'm just playing my part. I speak a small circle cause outside everybody, and I was like, I don't
know how he came up with that. It's like, I remember that, like, of any of the hooks he's ever written, or even on that whole album, that is the most memorable hook, and the way he's saying it, like, it works so perfect.
Me and you looked at each other,
we're just like, fuck.
Holy shit, what is he doing?
Like, that's tight.
And then we sat there and we listened to him, and we was like, yo, what was that?
Like, how, Kelly? Where does this come from?
He just pulled it out of
Where does this come from?
I was so amazed. And then he had a whole verse, and that is the best song on the album, in my opinion.
It's one of my favorites. I think as far as writing goes, and like we wanted to add the bass, I wanted to add bass to it. We decided,
perfect.
Me and Brian talk about all these. Like I kind of, before I make executive decisions, usually except for that one and that one song, usually I consult Brian.
Yeah. No, I think that one was. Whew. And Calico, and what was beautiful was like, it's almost like he had that song in him already, and he was just waiting for the right moment to release it.
Right.
Because Calico is very prolific and very like, it's like he's like a whistle for God or the
It's
universe.
weird, man. He'll just fucking start spitting shit. Like, how did you?
He just pulls things, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, how are you writing like this? And it was, you know, because Cali, he's a writer, he's a rapper, he could dabble in the beats, but he was doing something, and we like heard it, and we were like, hold on, we
Like,
know
stop
what you're doing,
Cali.
we know what
We're
you're doing.
just-
Hold on, let's lock it in.
We're
gonna help you out here.
We're gonna loop it.
And we locked and like, you know, locked him in, and then you went in on it, and Kylie sat back while you finished that up, and then like he just started spitting, and I personally think that's Callie's best rhymes
I think so.
I've ever heard.
And the
Callie's
melodies-
a great rapper. Me
Yeah.
and him did Stay and Wise together.
Yeah.
I think.
But the
rap-
melody, especially like the melody on that hook, I love that melody so much. Just the.
I hope it ain't my granny this year. Come on, man. Calico. And Calico and Elements show up quite frequently throughout that.
You guys are on you guys are on 3 tracks each, like more than anyone else.
Yeah, and you know, we're definitely not idol friends.
Nope. And none of these people are either. You know, it wasn't. I felt like people might think that way. And it wasn't really like that. It was just more of a play on words with the false idols. And kind of like what I was saying about the social media stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But also kind of what you were saying too, about like a call to arms, like who's really riding with me.
Who's riding with you? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And I won't lie.
And I think some people, so everyone that's been giving me feedback has been like, I was honored to be on it. I'm like, I'm honored you were on it. What do you mean? But I'll bet there's some people that weren't, you know, I didn't ask everybody. Obviously, I couldn't ask everybody.
Right.
That there's some people I would have liked to have had on the album. Maybe they're feeling some kind of way. I don't know. Maybe they are, but
maybe not. We're not going to count that.
yeah, we're not
only
going to talk
count
about
the
that. That's
blessings. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
So after Around Us, beautifully composed by Calico, you have Inner Cranial Pressure featuring Armando Harrison and Jacob Stevens. Those are your James D. Martin dudes.
Yeah.
What's up with that one?
So that one started. So the Armando did this really cool synth bass thingy that you'll hear. It like it kind of opens up with that. Like, so Armando did that part, and then Jacob just started doing that. And Jacob is like a shoegaze dude, so he like ran his guitar through all these like reverb and delay pedals, so it had this really cool spaciness to it.
Very ambient. So.
Very ambient sound.
Yeah.
So I sampled that in there, and I did the percussion, and a lot of that was live recorded drums too. So I like had my metal brushes on the hi-hats and stuff, and sampled that in. I kind of like made myself sound like a really good drummer, like a live drummer, even though I'm playing each piece individually, like listening to it on the headphones and playing just the hi-hats and just the kick or just the snare. Also records better, but also if you could do it right, like it sound pretty natural. And that one is like percussion wise, like I was pretty happy with how I was able to make it sound.
Right, because you have, I mean, there's like a stigma between people who are playing real instruments, and then here you go bringing up
I'm just pressing buttons. That's what I usually do.
That's what they say. Oh, you're just pressing buttons. I'm not I think an MPC
It's an
is
instrument.
a fucking instrument.
And you kind of showed me that too, like even a mixer's an instrument.
And
like
a mixer is an instrument.
anything's an instrument, really. Fucking pencil could be an instrument. Fuck,
Facts.
you know?
But so, once again, you kind of fell back a little bit on control of melodies and stuff like that, and you let your boys go in.
Yeah. And then I just sampled it from there and like,
Yeah.
put it there.
So it's almost like a sample-based producer's wet dream of like, hey, fuck sampling records, cassette tapes, CDs.
I know people
a bunch of
that
musicians
can play all those instruments, and I just have them do it.
and then you just sit here and you're sampling it.
Yeah.
Royalty free.
It's fucking so tight, dude.
There's no like BMG or like some fucking Universal Music Group's gonna holler at you in a year or so and say, hey, you owe me some money.
It's like some Kenny Beats shit. Like Kenny Beats does that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I think
I'm sure
that was
Flying
pretty
Lotus
cool.
does that. Like,
What I like about this album, in my personal opinion, it teaches networking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a real quiet type of person. I like to be in my own cocoon musically. And I meet so many people because you just have so many motherfuckers coming through here. It teaches networking. Like there's plenty of resources around you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're doing here is using your resources.
Yeah.
Not having limitation. I don't have like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it shows a lot about your path and progress through production and creativity of like your journey through releasing music.
It's nice. It can be like a blessing and a curse though. Like I'm kind of like unlimited as far as like whatever like I'm not bound for any like specific genre because I love all the genres. It's kind of hard like when people ask me what I make, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like you listen to False Friends, Idol Friends, there's like 10 different genres. Like every different song is a different genre.
Yeah, I remember you were uploading it and you were like, what genre should I put? I'm like, I don't know, man, rap and alternative.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, man. There's like 10 different things going on here.
He's like, because I mean, really, I'm like, it cannot be boxed in. It's you. On top of that, I don't want it to sound like it's one of those corny, cheesy like compilation albums, but also it's you, but it's also Colorado.
Yeah.
And
that's something we've tossed around, that word compilation. It does have a compilation feel just because every song is so different.
But these are all Colorado artists that you know. It just kind of shows, but there's tons of Colorado artists that,
and there's so many other talented ones that were not on this album. Like I know so many more. And,
I mean, D Style's great. Right,
and he's been on album.
High key, great singer, but it just how the world works and the universe works. They just weren't in a session or whatever. It was.
And I'm always working with people too. That's never going to end.
Yeah,
that's kind of like False Idols has always kind of been like that, like a collaborative effort. Like for the longest time, people thought False Idols was a band. Mm-hmm. Like for the longest time, I never corrected anybody because I'm always performing with different people. Anyway, like. Whatever, like I'm always with different people, so it's very confusing to people. Like, are you with Callie? Are you with Brian? Are you with Jordan from Dreadnought? Are you with Justin who plays bass?
False Idols is greater than yourself.
Yeah, it's not even me. It is, but it isn't. It's like
greater than yourself, which is beautiful. Because a lot of people, especially in hip hop, when they create their identity, it's a very self-centered identity.
Yeah.
Look at me. Kanye West, look at me. Look at me. Look what I did. But you're like, look at this idea I have.
It's a cool project with all my friends. Like, and it turned out so fucking cool.
And it started out as collaboration with another partner, and then it turned into a solo thing, and then there was singers that were involved, and then it just keeps building. And there's on a False Idols album, I might, which is impossible, but I might not be on another False Idols album.
That's impossible. You might not be on the next one. Who knows?
The next one, but that doesn't mean it's still not a.
But
False
most likely
Idol
you'll be on the next one because you're on everyone so far.
You might stumble upon somebody else, and that's gonna add to the False Idols sound. You know what I'm saying?
Like I like Neff a lot. I'd like to see Neff be on more shit. He's
Neff's probably gonna be on a False Idols album.
He will. He's kind of doing his own solo thing right now. It looks like, but I would like to have him on some
Neff's
shit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so after that song, Intracranial Pressure, that takes a lot.
So it's
to
ICP.
Say. Oh my god!
I should have talked about the name too. So that was a joke. So my brother-in-law.
You know who I wish was on this album?
Huh.
Frank G.
Frank G should have been on that song probably.
Frank G should be on. Yes.
So it was a joke. It was more of a joke. Because my little sister, when we were like growing up, same era when Frank G was into ICP, my sister was too, and I used to make fun of her.
Frank G's still in the ICP.
Of course
I don't knock it. That's my motherfucking homie.
And that's
Frank
cool,
G
that's cool. He's still with it. K isn't. But anyways,
we need a Frank G on this
my
album.
brother-in-law would always say, ICP, what is that? Intracranial pressure. So it was like an inside joke we had. So that song's very intense, a lot of build up, a lot of pressure going on. So I'm like, ICP, intracranial pressure. I don't know. That's why I called it that.
That's deep. See, that's a layer I didn't know. I wasn't a part of that beat making process. All right.
That was the naming process. That was like when I was like trying to figure out names. Track
8. Once again, Young Calico. Calico dropped gems for you, bro. War with the Devil.
Did, man.
The War with the Devil and the War. So, I mean, how do you feel about? I know how I feel about Calico's writing.
That was dope. I love his triplets he's hitting in that. Like his triplets he's hitting. Like you don't hear him do that many triplets, and it was one of my favorite verses. And I mean, he always writes good hooks. Memorable hook. I already had the beat. Like I played the synth and already had the beat going. Putu's voice is in it. From the same Gamelan class, I recorded his voice sometime. Same thing with the Gamelan beat too. He's talking about technique in the background.
And that's why I
use it works with Emily Strange's
And that's why I use that line. I'm not just entertaining. You need the technique. Like I wasn't throwing a shot at my fucking homie Technique G. I was just saying because he was saying technique. I was like, I'm not just entertaining. You need the technique.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Like
I didn't catch that. I just caught the Technique G part.
yeah, I was.
But
talking,
you always
I was
do double entendres and shit. You always like
because I was
fucking.
listening to. I was trying to play with the beat because you were playing with the music, so my words are trying to play with the music as
Yeah,
well.
that was perfect. But yeah, on the War with the Devil, Hutu is like telling the class to do something. I forget what he says. He's like telling us to play slower or telling someone not to play as loud.
Yeah.
Something like that. So that was the background sample, the voice sample I had in the War with the Devil. One. But yeah,
Let's
Kelly
just
fucking killed
let
that
me
shit.
tell you. I've met many rappers. I have respect for many. I could name 6 rappers of strength right now in Colorado Springs that I absolutely respect, and I absolutely respect based on how I view hip hop as a fan. And man, Calico. When I hear Calico, I'm like, me and this motherfucker live in the same world musically, as far as rhymes go. Like, I see the realm he's portraying, because I live there too.
Really, I kind of feel like you guys are in different realms. Like similar.
I fuck with Calico so much because he reminds me of the shit I was listening to when I was learning how to rap. The Cormega, the Prodigy, the artists that were like making you think a little bit deeper. The War with the Devil, they finished it. Like he's letting you know, like. And let me tell you, like that's a very, very special song on this album. Like,
So I can see that for sure. Like Cali, what I like about Cali is like he doesn't get too complex with the rhymes. You know, there is something to.
No, he does.
He does, but he doesn't the way he says it.
I hear it. I'm like, ooh, I heard that.
He does, but you know, it could go over your head. But like,
It does.
the way you sound though, you could be talking about nothing at all, and you sound super intellectual. And like,
Calico's very specific on what he's saying when he's rapping.
he's
I
more.
couldn't be scatterbrained.
You
Cali
kind of
stay right on focus.
you're more abstract.
Yeah, Cali
that's the
can
best
stay
way to say
right
it.
on focus
You're more
with the
abstract. And
subject.
Cali's just like, yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna focus on the subject, and I'm gonna keep.
And that's why Cali's like good at like writing hooks and
Oh,
stuff.
my
You know what I
God.
mean? Like, and keep into that. And like you keep on the subject always too.
Yeah.
You know, but you're more like an Aesop Rock, and he's more like a ASAP Rocky.
A$AP Rocky's nasty, by the way.
He is nasty.
So, following War with the Devil and the belly of the beast could be the devil. The following song is the belly of the beast, and this is also a personal favorite of mine.
You said that was one of the hottest beats I made.
I was mad I'm not on it. I was like, really, Vince? You didn't let me hear this one? You let Reflection and Calico get on this one.
Well, see, they used
were
to be
just here. It was
they used
just
to be in a group together too.
Right.
Thoroughbreds.
Thoroughbreds.
So, and you know, Cali used to have ties to Clydesdale and shit too, you know, before Clydesdale, like
I
early.
mean-
And they could talk about all that shit. I don't want to speak on that, but yeah, Cali and Deshaun had a group together, so I'm like, that's pretty cool.
But did that happen here?
Yeah, I think they're both just here.
Here.
Yeah, we recorded both their shit here. I think they both wrote their verses here.
Yeah.
Like I had the beat and they're like, oh, that's hot.
Yeah.
And I had that cool ass sample, that vocal sample. Like I don't. Yeah, she sounds like she's dropping N-bombs. Everyone thinks she's saying the N-word.
And Reflection was bodying.
Yeah, he was.
He was spitting. Reflection 2. I can tell when I could tell a rapper listens to the same type of rappers I like. And when I got to know Reflection more, me and Reflection have the same favorite
And
rappers.
see, Deshaun and Cali both have a similar
yeah.
register.
They
Like,
go.
you know, they kind of. I would say Deshaun's a little harder, you know, Cali more smooth. Obviously, he can do like his R&B, like the soulful shit.
He's in the
Deshaun
pocket.
don't be hitting the soulful shit. He's just mean, like New York style, just like fucking
go.
punchy as fuck.
He got East Coast roots. for
Yeah, he
sure.
does. It sounds like it. He's from here though.
Yeah, but he's got East Coast roots.
Yeah, it
He and
sounds
I
like
have
it.
talked. He and I have talked.
Right.
I think, you know, Clydesdale is such a wide range of different styles of like musicians. Like we can go into this, like what is Clydesdale. But I know what Clydesdale is. But Reflection and Cali to me are like street motherfuckers. And then we got Frank G on his shit, Hefe on his shit, and Scroggins on his shit. So I've always fucked with Deshaun and fucking Cali. Heavy. And following that song, Soma and Cerveza is another Clydesdale member.
Yeah.
Hefe the GMC.
That one probably is like the most emotional, like dark. It's a dark song. Like emotional, like Hefe put that shit on there. Like he's talking about like drug addiction,
right,
and the opioid crisis.
Yeah, it's terrible, and apparently it's affected him, maybe personally.
Yeah, sounds like it has.
Really know him
I think it's affected all of us, maybe without us even knowing. I'm sure
right.
Someone we love or care about has probably been abusing opiates.
I know that shit is
even prescription ones. You know, he talked about. You know, I see them out there selling pills again. Some to my family and to my friends.
False friends, false idols. I mean, we keep.
Yeah, and that was kind of played with the theme right there.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a very, very it's a very emotional song. Oh, that's how I do Calico. Maybe not right now.
I'm gonna pause this. Cali, we're in the middle of
an interview.
Yeah, so he's calling right now in the middle of an interview. We cannot cut this.
I think that's a very special song, and I think everyone should definitely listen to that. Like Hefe too. I hear Hefe and I can tell like, all right, we listen to the same type of rap music. Hefe got flow, and he got bars, and he's got presence and cadence on the mic. Like I fucks with Hefe heavy. And I think the content is beautiful. It really touched me. I really like that one. So who is Gordon Lewis? Gypsy Swamps is the name of the song. Who's Gordon Lewis? What is this? I know who Gordon Lewis, but tell the people.
So Gordon Lewis is like one of the most talented multi-instrumentalists that I know. He's in this folk band called Roma Ransom. Shout out Roma Ransom with his lady Grace. So Gordon and Grace, it's kind of cute. Like their names are so similar too. And like
Gigi.
She plays a violin. Gordon plays like percussion. He plays guitar. He plays clarinet, he plays saxophone. I mean, the dude, there's not much, I don't know what he can't play, honestly. So he's sent me samples, just kind of like we were talking a little bit ago about, you know, basically I just have access to like the core samples, like my friends just send me.
That's beautiful.
Sounds. So Gordon, I have a lot of trumpet and sax and clarinet from Gordon that I've not used.
Just sent you him playing.
Yeah, and I have this, but like pre this album, like I have a bunch of sounds I just haven't fully used yet. I just didn't do them justice. Like I came with some beats I didn't like how they were. I gotta figure out a different thing. Anyways, I have a lot of sounds from him, and I sent him that song, the Gypsy Swamps. I call it Gypsy Swamps because they play like gypsy. They're
They
kind
come
of like
off as gypsies.
they're like very gypsy folk.
musicians.
Like they're like gypsy folk musicians. They live, they don't live out of their car. They have a house, but they live off their music, which is inspiring. And they tour through all the cool breweries in the mountains and just post awesome pictures, wilderness pictures of them, and they jam in the wilderness because they play acoustic instruments. But yeah, so Gordon, I sent that song to him, and he's like, dope. And he sent me back some sax samples, and I actually did alter them quite a bit. Like, I added like a ton of reverb and delay, just made them way more ambient. So I only used a few notes from him, but like it was so eerie, the sound. I liked it. So
yeah, and it's a good change up, and then it goes into the final song of the album. You can pronounce this title.
I think it's pronounced Albinjilu. I don't know, like we're gonna call it Henny Bottle because the sample. Yeah.
So what is so Armando normally plays like instruments. What did he do on this one?
He felt some kind of way, and he was just rapping on the intro to it, and he slurs a lot of his words, but his attack and everything sounded so cool. I wanted to keep it in there with its imperfections. I didn't want to re-record it because I'm like, you're not going to get the same attack. It's not going to sound as aggressive or as good.
Just keep it the way it is.
Yeah, I'm like, we're just going to leave it like this. You're not a rapper or anything. It just sounded really cool. The opening, just the percussion with the Israel sample. Yeah, his voice is cool. He's got a bassy voice. I like his voice.
It was a change up for him.
And then then the drop, and then it goes into the bass, and like, man, the samples. From
It was
that.
nuts. It was another nuts ass beat where I was like, I'm rapping on this.
That's like the most banging beat I've made maybe ever. It's up there.
Yeah, that's up there.
And the way you came off on it, like Callie fucking murders it coming out, like talking like Excalibur. And then when he sets you off, like you just fucking come off.
Elements, you dumb. Cause I'm dead.
And then when he says "Elements, you dumb," he's like ah, because like that was his reaction to you rapping, and I kept that in there, and it was so perfect, like just the energy behind that. Like when you came out, like I get chills listening to that part. Like
that might be my favorite.
It's so powerful. I'm like, damn, that sounded so hard.
That might be my favorite verse on there, and that's a beautiful way to close the album. Spitters and me.
And then it goes so hard, and all of a sudden it just drops off into nothing, and then you start whispering.
Well, because I know you like dynamic vocals.
Yeah.
Some of your favorite rappers, we don't gotta plug them, but I know some of your favorite rappers, and they're very dynamic with their vocal delivery. So I'm like, all right, in order to please this motherfucker,
if you ever gonna watch this,
in order to please this motherfucker, I've got to be dynamic. I can't be my normal monotone. I've got to be animated and change the animations like with him.
Yeah.
With his music, and that's kind of what I do.
And you do always too. You always fucking put out. Same thing with that fucking Cyber Shaman's beat, dude. Like, you know, like.
Yeah, and that's what I do. And well, because that's what your music is calling for. So, and I know how to follow that through. But overall, and then you have these interludes or like little skits. Like if you're listening all the way through, you're gonna hear these little skits. What are they? What is that?
So interactions with my friends.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much, kind of like tack on to like the satire of false friends, idle friends. The initial idea was, the people that are already on the album that already recorded, like the song's already done. I was gonna call them and ask them like, hey, would you be on my album? And they're gonna be like, no. Like, why would I be on your album? Like that's a crazy notion. You're fucking wild, you know, like. I thought it'd be funny, so it kind of built into the satire of that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I wanted.
It up a bit, because some of the content is very heavy, so then when you hear us fucking with you...
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, nah, fam, I'm not
I'll let you hold a mustard packet.
I'll give you that's like asking to borrow my TV.
Yeah, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. You know, because we do have fun. It's not all just philosophical.
Yeah, I don't take myself that seriously.
Yeah.
Like, my aesthetic, False Idols aesthetic, looks mad serious. Like, I look like I'm a fucking... really serious dude. I don't take myself that seriously.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to like incorporate some humor throughout it as well in between. And also, you know, the skit is like one of my favorite things of like a hip hop album. Skits like the old hip hop albums used to always have dope skits. Sometimes they still do nowadays, but you don't really hear that in other types of albums too much. I mean, I've heard that in metal albums, but like in the metal albums, it's like some grotesque, like people getting sawed in half, and it's still funny, but I wasn't trying to come off like violent and do some shit like that.
So, okay, so this album was recently released on digital just to get people to hear it. But is there any physical or any follow-up promotion that you're going to be doing with this album?
Yeah, so I probably jumped the gun on digital release. I just had to get it out there. It's been something that I've been working on for over a year. And in between, I always work on new music. I like just creating new music all the time. So had to get this one out. So digitally it's released. It'll be on Spotify and iTunes and stuff within the next few days once it's processed. It's on Bandcamp right now. But What's Left Records is going to do the physical release for it.
And what is the What's Left Records?
So it's a local record label here, founded by Sean and Brian Ostro. The
motherfucking Osbros.
Like probably like the most important people.
Flux Capacitor.
They're like the most
important people
to this music community.
Independent music
here
in Colorado.
Not even just Springs. Like they put on shows all across the state.
From metal, punk, rap,
folk,
everything.
Like if it's good music, the Ostros are associated with it. And so because they want to, I mean, the fact they associate with me it's an honor that they want to fuck with me, but...
I'm just happy they be putting me on shows. They're
for
like,
real,
you
though.
want to do a
like, you're playing Homeboy Sandman.
I'm doing Homeboy Sandman. You're doing Rap Forever.
And I'm doing Rap Forever, a.k.a. Milo. Like, we're playing... Like, they're putting us on really dope shows.
So...
They're going to set me up with the venue, put my shit out on cassette, and then I got Zion.
Shout out to the motherfucking Astros.
fucking Astros love you
What's
guys.
Left Records, and it's an actual record store in the Springs.
It is.
And I'm not saying not go to independent records. I'm just saying you need to hit What's Left Records.
What's Left has some niche stuff that you're not gonna find anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like if you want to find some obscure ass shit, like
They do have some obscure, like, I don't want to, like, obscure, like, dark metal shit.
oh,
Like,
they're into the black metal and
Yeah.
like the death metal
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
the technical death metal.
very obscure.
They know their metal,
like
the
Taster's
thrash,
Choice albums.
the
right?
fucking sludge, the doom,
Yeah.
like the fucking post, everything. Like they
And I-
know their metal.
And they know their jazz too, because I've gone
They
in
know
there and
jazz.
found
They
some
got jazz.
very like
You can find some
tasteful
Kamasi
jazz
Washington in that bitch.
Yo,
like,
you know what I'm saying? I found some very tasteful jazz shit, Willie Bobo and shit like that. And then I'm like, what the fuck? I thought y'all was only selling punk and metal records.
they got fucking everything, dude.
What's Left Records in Colorado Springs has a very diverse collection.
Yes.
And
so
sometimes there's Mad Villain in that motherfucker too.
you could find some Mad Villain.
You might find a Mad Villain record in there.
I know they had Freddie Gibbs last time
And
I
they
was
got
there.
Freddie Gibbs in there. You can fucking maybe some Depeche Mode too. Who gives a fuck?
I'm pretty sure. I'm honestly pretty sure there's some Depeche Mode.
What's Left Records?
They're the shit, but they're putting my shit out. I'm also collaborating, or I'm commissioning Zion from Lead Village, Zion Bojan,
Which
like
is an art collective, right?
art collective here in Springs, like some of the most talented artists too, and he's a great graphic designer. So he's gonna be putting out posters. We're doing limited run. They're gonna be numbered individually, like printed, like 1 through 30, and I'm gonna have 25 cassettes. What's Left is gonna have the other 25, so there's only gonna be 50 of these cassettes
So
in
you can
existence.
only buy 50 cassettes, 25 at What's Left Records, 25 straight to
Yep,
you.
and I plan on just selling mine as a bundle with the cassette and the poster
Okay.
combined.
Like an incentive to go straight to the artist and stuff.
Mhm.
But anyway, if you don't get it from Falseyedols, please go get it at fucking What's Left Records and keep supporting What's Left Records.
Yep.
And like a local, actual, real record company. And the Astros are, I mean, they were fucking in like local magazines and like notarized for like the things they're doing.
Well, they write for the Independent. Brian writes for the
Yeah,
Independent.
so
so
they're great dudes and they're, you know, they're solid. They're like, you know, we have historical beings in Colorado Springs for music, but
and these guys deserve a fucking statue. How cool would that be?
Astros,
I want to see an Astros statue.
We need a bus.
like on
we
Tejon.
need a bus. of
Yo,
both
in
of them.
front of Triple Nickel, like a statue
Get
of
rid
just
of
them
fucking
like doing
General
their weird
Palmer.
ass shit, their weird ass
Get rid of
poses.
General Palmer and
Yep.
put the Astros.
We should
right
the
there.
Astros there.
Put the Astros there because
We-
that's really what Colorado.
We should run
is
like a
about.
GoFundMe like thing, like have Astros as a fucking statue in the city somewhere.
They definitely need to be recognized, but you know, we gotta give them their flowers while they can smell them. But hopefully, at some point in the future, they do get that statue. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully,
or at least a mural. Fuck.
yeah. Something.
You know, our dude Iggy got a mural. You know,
Iggy,
the Astros
yo,
need a fucking mural.
Rest in peace to Iggy Igloo.
R.I.P.
Another
Iggy Igloo.
pivotal.
One of the man.
I would say archetypes in fucking Colorado
He was,
music.
yeah, he was
I
huge,
love
man.
that man to death.
Huge.
So what is your favorite song on the album?
Fuck. So I guess it'd have to be the Gamelan one, man. The fucking.
Emily Strange.
What I end up
Pusu.
calling that one? See, I don't even know. It was Thought Habits.
Thought Habits, because it was something Emily Strange
Yeah,
said.
because she ends up with Thought Habits. Yeah, probably that one just because of how much went into it. It means a lot to me.
Yeah.
But as far as like the bangingest one, fucking the last track. Like, I fucking headbang. I headbang listening to that song.
Around Us by Calico.
But see, that one
man.
too.
Damn.
See, and
it's hard. It's
what I like
hard.
about this album is literally every single person has a different favorite song.
Mm.
I don't know anyone who has the same favorite song.
That's
and I think
beautiful.
that's pretty cool. Like, there's not like a clear cut, like, this is the, you know, like a single. This is the single for the album. Like, and that's a lot of my music. Like, everyone likes a different song, like, for different reasons.
Right. All right.
I think that's pretty cool.
That's hella tight. So, false idols, false friends, idol friends. The artwork. What's up with the artwork? Real quick.
Yeah, so I make my own artwork too. So I made that artwork. Actually, I'll show you the original, the OG.
So is this like a digital thing you did?
Yes and no. So it started with I paint with my kid, and I painted this. This is the OG. I painted that. So that was it. And then for the actual album cover, I did some Photoshop wizardry. I actually zoomed in on certain portions of the painting and put them on top of
That's a beautiful.
the original
concept.
painting and hit them with the opacity, so they kind of went through. So some of the really like the close shots, you could see like the texture of the canvas, and it's up close, so it kind of adds some weird texture. I was experimenting, and it turned out to be. Yeah, that's what you said that, and I didn't even know who the fuck that was until you said that to me.
Oh man, you gotta be put on.
But
False Idols, you are the motherfucking man. Cheers, bro.
Cheers, bro. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you to all my friends being a part of this album. Listen to it. Share it with your friends.
Because
Love
it's
y'all.
for friends. Yeah.
It's for friends. It's free, actually, too. I did release it on Bandcamp for a free download.
But
so.
I think it definitely deserves a cop once it's on.
Yeah,
tape.
buy it. You know, pay your due money. Like, buy my fucking cassette that's coming with the poster. I know no one listens to cassettes.
No, they
It's
do.
more collectible.
I listen to them.
Like, I have this cassette I bought from Joey Trust. I never listened to it because I don't listen to cassettes. Okay?
All right.
I just don't listen to cassettes.
On that note, peace out.
Peace.
This was a False Idols album review. Exactly 1 hour.
Thank you, Elements.
Peace.
Wow, that's crazy.